Good morning, everybody. Morning, YouTube. It's been a little while, and as you can see, I'm getting my economic collapse beard ready. Yeah. I think it's coming in rather well. It's been about a week or so, but in all honesty, I've just been too lazy to shave. I'm gonna shave today. Starting to get to that itchy, bothersome point. So, and as you can tell, the hair here in Pennsylvania, the stores and businesses and services are still shut down, thanks to our awesome Governor Wolf. I say that in full sarcasm. I can't stand the guy, but people did elect him, and we'll get our chance to get him out of office at some point. But that is not the topic of this conversation. The topic of this conversation is I had an opportunity to go to the store, the grocery store yesterday. It was about 8 o'clock last night, and I went to our local home improvement store yesterday. I was insanely busy for a Saturday. Today is Sunday, right? Yeah, today is Sunday. Was looking to do some home improvement projects and get some stuff, and man, it seemed like everybody had the same idea, which is good, improving their homes, improving their positions, things like that. Way to go. The grocery store that I went to, this particular store, 15 minutes away, not that big of a deal. I'm not going to give you the name, but it was 8 o'clock at night, and again, it was a Saturday, so it could have just been the particular day of the week, but man, their vegetables, looking kind of slim. Their meat products, though, man, beef, nope, very, very, very little of it in stock. There's more empty space than filled up space. Chicken, pork, same thing. I think they had some lamb. Wasn't quite sure. I didn't look that closely. Toilet paper, still not really getting a whole lot of it, but we got that at our other big box store. So, what I wanted to talk about is, businesses are starting to open up, which is good across the country. I absolutely am pleased by that. Except you've got these idiot sheriffs down in Texas who arrested a lady for opening up, I think it was a hair salon, and then you've got them arresting a bunch of guys protesting. They called in SWAT with their MRAP vehicle. Man, it's a dicey situation there. I don't know what precipitated having SWAT be called in or anything like that, but maybe it was an overreaction. I don't know the facts. All I'm saying is that it happened. I know some protests have been going on in Harrisburg. I know some have been going on in Washington, over in, I think, Seattle, whatever. But people are getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. They get a little feisty. And if the governments don't start reopening soon and get life back to some kind of normal, people are going to get more feisty of being sick and tired. I don't want that to happen. I'm not advocating for that to happen, but I could see it happening. Which would just take this situation orders of magnitude higher in shittiness. So why do I bring up the grocery stores? Well, we've heard of meat processing plants being shut down because employees are coming, under COVID, and or not coming under, but getting sick with, being diagnosed with. And, hey dog. I'll give you a little quick shot of the dog here as he decided to walk away. That was nice. Nice butt shot. Way to go. Way to go. So they're shutting down meat processing plants. Agriculturally, I'm not sure how much of the non-meat products are getting or available to be delivered to stores, but it kind of looks like it's slowing down a little bit. I mean, I'm accustomed to seeing, things being out of stock due to bad weather or late frosts. Speaking of late frosts, we actually had snow here yesterday. It was flurrying. May 9th, it was flurrying. So we're starting to see some ripples in the supply chain of non-toilet paper or paper product items. A little concerning, which got me thinking. The US and China have not been incredibly on good terms lately. On incredibly good terms lately. Sorry, it's early. I just woke up. I need some more Go juice. Oh yeah, nice and hot. But one thing that's supposed to help the relations for our two countries out is China is supposed to be buying some agricultural products and meat products from the US. And I don't know fully what was involved with that Phase 1 trade deal, so I looked it up. I actually pulled up the bill, or the agreement. It's not a bill, it's an agreement. And I made some notes, so bear with me if I don't look directly at the camera for a little bit, because I'm going to read. So the bill, or the act, or the agreement, trade agreement, the TA, is supposed to be $200 billion worth of goods. That's considerable. It's a good amount. But what does that encompass? Like, what does that actually mean? Well, China's going to be buying infant formula, dairy products, like milk, cheese, maybe yogurt, a whole bunch of other stuff. Dairy products. I'm no genius. It's just what I can think of. If you guys know more, put it down in the comment section. Be civil. Poultry, beef, live breeding cattle, pork, meat, poultry, and processed meat. I don't know why they broke that out separately. Aquatic products, rice, and pet food. Rice to China. Huh. Aquatic products, your fishes, shrimps, mussels, clams, lobsters, probably crayfish. Whole bunch of stuff, I guess. I don't know. Fish eggs, roe. So this got me thinking. I was thinking about this last night when I was at the store, and seeing the amount of supply available at that particular point. Granted, it's only a snapshot. Who knows? Maybe they're getting a restocking today or whatever. But if China is going to be sucking in or importing these goods from the U.S., that's going to be $200 billion worth of product that isn't available to the U.S. consumer. Well, if that draw is going to be placed on the supply chain in the coming weeks, what does that have to say about what's going to be available to us? So that got the old noggin spinning a little bit, and we all know now, or most of us should know now, that this situation that we're in came from China. China actually had the director of the World Health Organization covering for them, based on one of the latest news articles that I read, for 6 weeks. and then basically denying how serious the situation was for a good 2.5 months. So when people say, oh, the World Health Organization is great, they're looking out for everybody, they would never steer us in the wrong direction, BS, okay? That article that I read was on Zero Hedge. I would highly recommend checking them out. Their mobile browsers, or their mobile site is kind of weird because it refreshes and all that, like every few minutes it jumps all around, but good information. So we all know it came from China, particularly from this one lab. Who knows if it was intentionally released or not? At this point, it doesn't matter. So it gets out, infects the world, essentially, cripples countries' supply, demand, relationships, forces people to stay at home, kills a good percentage of people. But now China is going to be buying products because they have to. They have to agree or, perform on the basis of the contract. They have to fulfill the contract. Is it possible, and this is what I'm thinking, is it possible that this was no accident, that this affected the rest of the world? And I'm going to focus on the U.S. With shortages occurring because facilities are being shut down, is it possible that this was part of China's plan? Because they don't do anything without a plan. Is it possible that the government of China, I have nothing against the Chinese people, I think they're in a worse situation than anybody else, but is it possible that the government of China thought, well, if we can severely economically hinder the USA, that we'll be in a better position to implement our plans, whatever those plans are? I could be further extending their territorial claims in the South Pacific, who knows? Maybe taking action against Taiwan, who knows? But the strength of the U.S. essentially comes from our economy. Having the world reserve currency, which we're doing a great job of destroying the status of. If they start taking product away from the U.S. consumer, it's going to foment some unhappy tension in the U.S. And it's going to look very bad for President Trump if he signed this trade deal that was supposed to be a great thing for farmers. But now the average citizen is suffering because they can't get food products at the grocery store. The November election, that's coming up. And Trump was no friend to China. I mean, he tries to be civil and polite and nice. But at the end of the day, he is looking out for the U.S., which China does not like. You can't like that if you're China. I mean, here you've got this guy who realizes the situation. You can't buy him off. You can't kill him, because then that would just infuriate tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of Americans. So that would lead to all-out war. But if you cripple, in a sense, the United States, and you start having the populace go hungry and get hangry, domestically, that's going to cause a lot of strife. It's going to cause a lot of problems. There's going to be a lot of assets associated from the government and from local municipalities and states to handle that situation, whatever that situation may be. It could be more political unrest. It could be wide-scale political unrest. Who knows? Could that be a plan to get a new president elected in the upcoming election in November? It could be. That could be. And you get Joe Biden in there, who is, how shall we say, a few matchsticks full of a full carton. Not the brightest bulb in the box. Not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Can't even remember his own name, probably. He's just going to do whatever his handlers want and or tell him to do. And those handlers are going to do whatever China wants them to do. So it would be no far stretch of the imagination that things would get much better for China and much worse here for the US population. So is that part of their plan? Seems likely. Plausible. Let's just say plausible. Now let's take China out of the situation for a moment. Let's just focus internally on the US. Trump has tried to do his best for the American people. And locking down the country seemed like a good idea at the time. With the information that Trump was being given, being shown, the advice that he was getting from Dr. Fauci, who I think should be brought up on charges. And that's a whole separate issue that we can get involved with at a later date. But if we go into a recession, most likely a depression, our economy is just going to be crippled. I mean, it's what, $21 trillion a year annually? China's running about 13 trillion annually. So, if you cripple us by 25% economically, which is about where we're headed, that's a huge hit. That brings us down to about, 15 trillion? We're going to be so busy in this country handling ourselves and taking care of ourselves, we're not really going to have time or the assets to hinder China in further developing its goals in the South Pacific. So that's a win-win right there for China. So it was interesting to me. It got me thinking, right? So what is it that we can do as individuals to alleviate some of the coming conditions that could occur? I'm not saying will, I'm not saying have to, I'm just saying could. Start stocking up on things. If you have room in your freezer, if you find some meats, buy a little bit extra. Don't go and hoard the whole thing, all right? Just buy a little bit extra. The meats that are in cans, like Spam, the canned hams or whatever, tuna fish, chicken, hot dogs, brats, lunch meats. Pick up just 1 or 2 extra packages. Don't go crazy. Staples like vegetables, grains, flour, shelf-stable milk or milk product or milk substitute, spices, definitely spices, rice or quinoa or buckwheat, whatever you prefer. Start getting a working pantry together. If you are in a position where you can buy long-term food storage, if it's available, get yourself on a list, get it ordered. People do crazy things when they're hungry. And unless you've grown up hungry or always looking for your next meal, you're not going to be used to it. It's not just going to be life as normal. And if you have kids, Man, I can't imagine. I just can't imagine that feeling of seeing your kids hungry and not being able to get them food. And people could get desperate. I'm not saying everybody's going to get desperate. I'm saying a few could. And when people are desperate, they do desperate things. So, if you haven't done anything, just start doing something, anything, right now to get yourself in a better spot. Um, what I'm going to be doing is it's starting to get warmer out. We're past the last frost date. Um, I'm going to be getting that garden up and running. Um, I waited until today because I kind of knew it was going to get cold again. We still had a potential for frost. But I'm going to get cold hardy veggies in the ground like the lettuces, the kale, the Swiss chard, whatever. Um, green beans, bush beans, tomatoes are going to be going in the ground next week. Eggplant, stuff like that. Potatoes, if you've got potatoes that you can grow potatoes. Kind of unfortunate because I did plant grass seed and I took the garden boxes down and then planted the grass seed over that, but that'll be easy enough to recondition, repurpose for a garden. I guess I can tell you guys now, the reason I didn't get the garden going this year was because we were looking to buy a house. It's about 35 minutes from our current house. It was on 6.6 acres. It's a really nice place. Unfortunately, negotiations fell through. So that's why I didn't get the garden up and running, because we're going to be renting this place out. So, but anyway, guys, do something. Whatever you can do. Get ahead of it.